Greetings, Fate Makers! Today's episode of WonderFix will be big. New DLC, patch notes, and juicy hotfix. I'm Pirek, and I'll be your host tonight. WonderFix focuses on explaining how changes from the last hotfix affect your game. Speaking of guests, I have a pleasure to welcome in our show Hello Gaming. Hi, hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay today.
Great. Okay, let's dig in because we have a lot to cover.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, let's start with the new featured run. This one is very special. For a week, our server members voted and represented their chosen boss to craft their run. There's a whole lot of mimics, Ribula and Drill. How do you feel about that set of enemies to encounter?
I'm very curious to see how Drill's gonna go for a lot of people who are running melee, considering you need melee to kill a lot of mimics, most
Yeah.
of them actually. So it should be very interesting to see how creative people get in order to kill Drill. Much less Ribula is super. I don't know. He's actually not that bad in comparison to Drill in this one. I'm kind of okay with that.
I'm assuming Ribula is there because it's such a long way to get to him. It's just easier to have him during the run here.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Okay, this week's mini event continues, the Crystalline Chaos. I'm gonna remind for those who don't remember what it's all about. So it makes going for the gear in Chaos Chamber so much more worth it. Increased base crystals from clearing a room and big reward dice by 50%, and also doubled crystals from bonus objectives and switches in Chaos Chambers. How do you like the event? Did you get any cool gear from the bunnies during it?
Well, I was actually playing with Mystique last night, and we got to Chaos 44, I think. Between the two of us, we probably got about 60 plus primordials, both Legos and purples. It was kind of ridiculous. We got a lot of good stuff out of there, like a lot of good weapons, a lot of good shields, a couple of decent amulets. So I'd say so far it's been a pretty good haul.
Sounds good. Good thing we have the vendors right there so you don't miss any gear.
Oh, yes. Oh, my lord.
Okay, so let's look into the hotfix changes. First of all, spells. We got a lot of spells that got buffed, both the damage, the status effect damage, and cooldown wise, including Barrel Maker, Dazzler, Frozen Orb, Gelatinous Cube, Glacial Cascade, Laser Hand, Revifire, Soul Blade, Time Skip, Thread of Fate, Inflammation, and Twister. Any of those you're excited to try now they got more powerful, or maybe you already tried them?
I'm definitely excited to try the Inflammation and the Glacial Cascade. I had a Threads of Fate for a really long time. I ditched it for, I think, the Tidebreaker whenever it dropped. So I'm interested to see how that's going to work for me personally. I don't know about the Gelatinous Cube, though. It's a little... we'll see.
I mean, Gelatinous Cube got a lot of love because it got the damage, the cooldown, everything, like, upped. So maybe it's worth trying this time.
Maybe, who knows?
Okay, we got also some, we got in patch and in hotfix changes to the class, but hotfix, especially hotfix, gave a lot of really sweet buffs for Clawbringer. I'm personally super excited because I am maining the Clawbringer there. But I know you're playing a Spellshot, so Spellshot got some changes that will make him focus more on spells than gun damage with adjusted magic bullets bonus, but stackable same element on imbued weapons. It's a pretty nice buff. How do you feel about those changes?
Since I use Spellshot as a secondary class to my Spore Warden, I don't actually feel them as much as maybe other people would when they're just using Spellshot as your primary class. I ultimately feel like it was a bit better for this particular class combination. I felt it was a little bit overpowering before, just in my personal build and experience.
So it's good that you got like slight nerf. I mean, that
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
pun,
I
right?
mean, it wasn't really a nerf as much as it was an adjustment. They were gonna have to figure out how to tone down Pixies even just a little bit in the tiniest bit, you know. So I'm okay with it personally.
Sounds good, sounds good. Okay, let's see what's next. New DLC. Did you try the new run, the PLC free run?
I did. I personally really enjoyed it. I am not gonna lie, I was not, and I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody who hasn't done it yet. But I wasn't expecting the boss to have so many different mechanics. Like, I was expecting something similar to the previous two we got, and I was actually quite surprised, pleasantly even.
I was super surprised. I played it today and going all over the map. And I think the other really good thing about this boss is that unlike the previous one, you have more versatility with builds you can approach it.
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. All the way from the spells to most melee builds will probably be able to do this DLC.
I think especially the melee builds that were
Yeah,
like.
especially.
Okay, speaking of DLC, we also got the changes to Wheel of Fate. So now the dedicated drops are increased by 1.5%. Multiplied by 1.5, excuse me. And also each category will now drop 4 guaranteed gear pieces, and rarity will scale with luck. Also this multiplier will scale with luck. And also customization category changed. We always will get at least 2 cosmetics from Badass pool and 2 from DLC pool. Did you try the wheel after those changes?
I spent about, I think, like roughly 450 souls after
Jesus.
finally being able to complete the first round of the DLC 3. I got, I think, maybe 10 new cosmetics both times I hit cosmetic wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got quite a few of the new legendaries as well from the first round of the new DLC. I was quite excited about it.
Which legendaries did you try them already?
I have not tried them. The ones I got were unfortunately not really compatible with the build that I currently have. However, quite a few of them did interest me.
Well, looking
I
forward
like
to.
the attunement ones. They seem pretty cool.
Oh, right, the ones that actually utilize your hero points, right?
Yes, yes. That's the first time I think I've seen a piece of gear like that in this style of game. Like, we've always had our class mods, right? Which boost our skill points passively, but I don't know that we've ever had anything that boosts our myth rank or hero points directly even. So it's an interesting twist. We'll see how it scales though. I haven't tried it yet.
I mean, it's interesting because the hero points felt like kind of static for now, and now they actually
Mm-hmm.
are involved with the items that you find, pieces of gear. So maybe that will make people not only respect your skill trees, but also your hero points for a gear.
Maybe.
That sounds like a good way to increase the build variety, I think.
Yes, I would have to agree.
Okay, let's look into the patch. There's so many things in patch, like 3 pages long. So let's try to focus on the key elements here. First of all, new chaos max level 50, and then last gear rarity, the ascended one, was introduced. How do you feel about those changes? Do you look forward to getting to level 50?
At first, I was a little apprehensive. I was really, really worried about the amount of primordial gear we were currently getting in Chaos 35 and how it would increase over the course of 35 to 50. I've been pleasantly surprised. As I said earlier, 60 plus primordials within 9 levels is nothing small. Haul at all. So I was honestly shocked even. It's weird to get so many primordials in such a short time after just going months without getting them at all.
Well, definitely worth it since primordials are making a huge change, at least from what I've seen
Yes.
so far.
Oh, yes. It's so much easier to do things. For people who've been waiting to get back into the game, now would definitely be the time to try to climb to hit 35 and beyond.
I also seen there is this nice little UI change in Chaos Chambers that you can actually see the percentages of chance to get the new tier level. I don't know if you've seen that.
Is that in the Chaos Chamber itself or is that in like the common
In
area?
in the Chaos Chambers themselves.
Oh, I haven't actually tried that
So,
since the patch. Interesting. Okay, I'll have to check that out.
so if you tab into your Chaos Chamber menu while you're in there, you can see on the bottom each of the Chaos tier level, and you can see what's the percentage of chance of getting the drop from this category. So I think this was one of the highly requested things. Speaking of Chaos Chamber, there's also boss rush now, so like 3 mini bosses and 3 big ones. Something often requested among the community. How do you feel about this format?
I am very excited for a couple of different reasons. Let me think about how to word this real quick. The amount of variety they could introduce with the boss runs is insane. You have so many obelisk bosses, you have so many mini bosses, you have so many big bosses to be able to do, and you get their dedicated drops whenever they're there. So you can just farm that over and over and over again for all of the dedicated drops, which is super cool. I would like to see different maps be used. So far, I personally have not done it yet myself, but I've heard a lot of people talk about how there's only one map and they just cycle through it
Oh, I haven't tried it either.
over and over and over again. So maybe introducing a little bit more variety in the future might help keep that fresher, you know? Almost put it on like a weekly rotation kind of like our featured run is.
That sounds good. Would be lovely to also have a community, for example, choose bosses they can have there. I think that would be super fun to see. So I want to focus on one piece of gear, Livewire. So it's a very hot topic and centerpiece of many builds recently I've seen. So it will have now scaling removed, which is basically a buff because it just gets more powerful. But to counter it, the chain lightning beam will be reduced by 12.5%. Have you used this gun? How do you feel about this change?
I have not used the weapon after its changes. However, before I used it on my spell spore. I didn't even use it on a melee character, so to speak. And it felt ridiculously strong in groups. So I'm interested to see how it's going to affect and how effective it's going to be on my melee build.
Okay, so we also got a lot of class changes. So apart from those visual changes where they fixed some wording on them, we got some good adjustments, and basically I didn't see any downsides of them. Any of them you're excited to see for the class change?
With the class changes specifically, I am most excited. Well, would you consider a fix a change, so to speak?
Yes,
Referring
of course.
to the capstone for Spore Warden. I am so ecstatic that the ricochet is actually ricochet now.
Yeah, that's definitely more worth it to climb up to it, right?
I not only see the difference in like the lack thereof enemies, but just how fast I can clear stuff now because everything's just dying behind enemies. It actually is kind of nice.
Yeah, and now Shroomy will go where he have to, right?
Yeah. If I didn't let him die all the time, but it's okay. You can use him as a meat shield. Don't worry about it. He'll just pop back up.
Well, at least he's doing his job, right? Properly.
Exactly. He's there to taunt, and then you just snipe him with a shotgun. It's fine.
So there is, apart from all of the bug fixes and crashes, we got a lot of different things in the patch notes that adjusted the UI, adjusted the visuals, things like cards in bank not overlapping anymore, or for example, no more randomized trail runs. What other things in patch notes that brought your eye and you're happy to see?
One of my favorite things for quality of life changes is the fact that you don't have to pick up those dang fire motes anymore. I'm so glad that that's not a thing. The amount of times I have frantically picked up every other item around those motes and then the thing die is it's ridiculous. So that is definitely one of the things I am most excited for.
Definitely, yeah.
One of the other things that a lot of other people seem to not really like, it's not that they don't like it, but it's also they don't dislike it enough, if that makes sense. I really enjoy the fact that they have locked the Chaos Trials now. So you're not getting the same 3 bosses 4 or 5 times in a row, it feels. I like the fact that it's on a rotation.
It's definitely help you like plan better how to approach them for the next tier, right?
Yes. And then of course we have the ability to enchant weapons that were not enchantable before. I'm looking forward to enchanting all of my I believe they're Kaokons. I'm probably saying the name wrong. I'm awful with pronunciation of half the weapons in these games.
you mean?
Yes.
That's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I say it right either, don't worry. So we got the Thunder Anima, Donkey, Brightright, Goblin Repellent, and Kaokan as a new enchantable loot right now to add to it. Anything else you want to mention here regarding the patch?
I would like to ask in the future,
Mm-hmm.
the extended crystal event run that we have going on. It would be really, really cool if we could see another moon orb event to follow this. Now that we have all of this amazing gear that we can enchant, we need the materials to enchant it. It would be phenomenal to see that come soon.
Oh, I totally agree. Especially now with all of those changes that let you if you could quickly enchant your weapons accordingly to the content you want to do, that would be amazing. Well,
Yes.
thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate you finding a moment for us. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. For those who missed today's episode, we will upload it on the weekend on the YouTube channel, and links will be posted in the server news. Thank you everyone who joined in and tuned in today, and keep it chaotic great. Thanks!